Hello, welcome to Pre-Maths lesson. Today we're going to be looking at practice paper set 3, June 2023. These are designed for June 2023 and today we're going to be looking at paper 3 foundation for those. Okay, and this is AQA exam board for GCSE mathematics. So anyone who's sitting the exam in this May, June, these are really useful for you guys. Okay, so first problem, it's a calculator paper, so make sure you have a calculator at hand and make sure you know how to use your calculator. I'll try and go through any tricks that I can come across, but there are so many different calculators in the market, I cannot possibly go through all of those at the same time. Okay, so you get comfortable with using your calculator. Something that has a length 12, let's say that's 12, and that should be equal to 3 lots of something, 3 lots of x's. So there's an x here, and x here. So you can work out what value of one of the x going to be. We need to split that 12 equally into 3 parts. In other words, divide both sides by 3. So split that 12 into 3 equal parts. We get 4, 4, and 4. Split that 3x into 3 equal parts. You get 1x each. So x is equal to 4, and that's what we needed to work out. We go y, and then adding 6, that gives you 15. If I'm solving this equation, all I have to do is take away 6 from both sides. Why? Because if I take away 6 from here, I'll work out what y is. I take away 6 from here, again that gives me 9. So it's 15 take away 6 is 9, and that will give you y. So y is equal to 9. Another way you can look at it, you start with y, you add 6, and you get 15. So I'll start with 15, take away 6, I'll get what y is equal to, which is 9. Again, solving equation. Something, W stands for some number, okay? So something divide by 4, which gives you 5. So what we're going to do here, we're going to multiply both sides by 4. So multiply that side by 4, so you get W over 4 multiplied by 4. Why? Because if you divide something by 4 and then multiply by 4, you get the same things. For example, you start with 10, multiply by 4, that gives you 14, then divide by 4, that gives you 10 again. Okay, so, and we go on the other side, 5. If I multiply this side by 4, I need to multiply that side by 4 as well. So we would get W equal to 5 times 4, which is 20. Again, you can check your answers. 20 divided by 4 would give you 5. Question 2a, work out 2/7 of 3. Now you can use calculator, put that in the calculator, use the fraction button. Some calculator shows fraction as this, 2L7. That means it's 2/7. Put that in the calculator, multiply it by 3. Majority of the calculator will give you answer in fractional form. Okay, so you need to be aware of that fact. Okay, so when I do that, I probably get fraction 6/7. But some calculator will give you answer in decimals. Okay, and it doesn't really tell you what you need your answer is. It doesn't ask you to leave your answer in fraction form. So you can leave your answer as a fraction, or you can leave your answer as a decimal. But again, if you don't have a calculator, if that comes up in the non-calculator paper, we know how to multiply fractions. It's one of the easiest one to work with. That 3 means 3 over 1. 3 divided by 1 will also give you 3. And when you have the two fractions next to each other, you multiply numerators, so top numbers. That gives you 2 times 3 gives you 6. Multiply denominator, that's 7 times 1, which gives you 7. Okay, that's it. That's really as straightforward as that. And you would get that 1 mark if you leave your answer in fraction or leave it as a decimal. 2b, work out square root of 529. Okay, so again, some calculator works out, say you have to press square root button and then key in 529, and that will give you the answer. Whatever the answer that works out to be, you just need to key in those numbers. Some calculator you put 529 first and then press square root and gives you that. Okay, so in this case, I'm using square root button first and then putting the 529 and press equal, and I get 23. That's all there is. So you're using just calculator to work out what the answer is going to be. Okay, I'm sorry. Right, the next one again is a calculator question. Some calculator have this kind of button y to the power x. Okay, this one here, that is what you can use. Some calculator will have x with this symbol there. Okay, so depending on what calculator that is, but what important thing here is you need to understand what 3 to the power 4 means. 3 to the power 4 means 3 multiplied by itself 4 times. That's what 3 to the power 4 means. So even if you don't have a fancy calculator, you can still do that. 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, and 27 times 3 will give you that 81. Again, put that in the calculator. You can use straight that in the calculator, or you can write it like that and work out the answer. Question 3a. Ordinary fair dice is thrown. Work out the probability of getting 4 or a 5. Okay. There are 6 outcomes altogether when you throw ordinary dice. There are 6 outcomes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, 6 outcomes. Every single outcome has same chance. Those are known as equally likely outcomes. Okay, or they have exactly the same chance or same probability of getting those when you roll a dice. So your answer is going to be out of 6. So there are 6 outcomes. Now, how many of those outcomes are either 4 or 5? So these 2 outcomes, that's what we want. We call them favorable outcome. That's something we want. That's something we desire. Desirable outcome or favorable outcome. So there are 2 outcomes out of 6. That's what we want. Okay. And those 2 has exactly the same probability as well. So the probability of getting 4 or a 5 is 2/6. That's it. You can simplify it. It doesn't ask you to simplify your answer. But if you want to, you can simplify that to 1/3. Work out the probability of not getting 2. It's important. This word here is been highlighted as a bold letter. Okay, those are given to you as bold. So telling you that is important. Don't miss it out. Okay, it's really important. People do read through really quickly in these questions. Okay, so make sure you take your time reading the question, and you don't want to miss out this. If you don't, it's only 1 mark question. Okay, there. So if you don't do it right, you would lose that 1 mark. So make sure you're looking at what not getting 2. So how many of these 6 outcomes are not 2? So there are 5 outcomes that's not 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there are 6 outcomes in total. So it's going to be 5. It's going to be 5 out of 6. Okay. The probability of not getting 2 is 5 out of 6. So there are opens a pizza restaurant, and these are the first 20 orders he gets. Okay, so first 20 pizzas he sells. So we have 5 margarita, 8 pepperoni, 3 chicken, and 4 vegetable. Okay, so we got 20 pizzas in total. And then questions asking you to work out, complete the pictogram where this 1 circle is same as 2 pizzas. Okay, so how many circles do we need to draw for margarita? So we need to draw 5 margarita pizzas and 8 pepperoni. So just remember that. We need to do 2 circles. 1, 2. Each stands for 2. But we needed 5 margaritas, okay? So we need to do another half a circle. And that's that 1. You don't have to write the number inside it. I'm doing it because my circles are terrible. They're not really good circles here, okay? So this is the reason I'm writing the numbers in. Pepperoni, we had 8. So I need to do 4 circles. 2, 4, 6, and 8. So that gives you total of 8 pizzas. Okay. And for chicken, we needed 3. So I'll do 1 full circle and then a half a circle. Okay, that's 3 for chicken. And the vegetable are 4, so we just need to do 2 circles. So that's what the pictogram should look like. Make sure you try and put a little bit more effort to make sure that these are a half circle and it's shown. Okay, and you don't ever have to write the number inside it. Again, I'm doing it because my drawings are not that great, and this is the reason I'm a maths teacher and not an art one. Okay, so what percentage of 20 pizzas were pepperoni? So we know there are 8 pepperoni pizzas out of 20. So I can write down that as a fraction. It's 2 mark question. So if you write it down as a fraction, you would possibly get 1 mark. Okay. And then we change that fraction into percentages. It's a calculator paper, so it should be really straightforward. 8 over 20 means 8 divided by 20. Okay. And if you do that, putting it in the calculator, that gives you 0.4. So we get 8 divided by 20, that gives you 0.4. Okay. And multiply 0.4 by 100. That will change that 0.4 into 40%. Because when you go from decimal to percentage, you need to multiply by 100. So 0.4 times 100 will give you 40%. So 40% of the pizzas were pepperoni. At the restaurant, Ruth orders food for £13.50. Okay. And this is 5 mark question. So anything you do here, make sure you write it down. You will pick up a mark for writing down anything that you actually come across and do here. Okay. So we're going to read through the question first quickly and then start answering that question. So food for £13.50, drinks for £2.40, and then she uses the voucher where you get 1/3 off the price of the food. So we can get 1/3 off this one here. Okay. And it does not include drink, so we have to pay full for the drink. And then after you've done that, you have to pay 10% service charge for whatever you paid basically, and those are going to be added onto the bill. Okay, so we're going to start working out with the first part. Apply voucher onto that 1350. Okay, so we want to work out 1/3 of 1350. So write that down. 1/3 of 1350. What would you get? Write that down. Okay, we would get £4.50. Again, you can do that in the calculator. 1/3 times 1350, or you can do 1 divided by 3 times 1350, or you can do 1350 divided by 3, and that will give you 1450. 1/3 of 1350. So that'll get you first mark. And then what you're gonna do, if that's what you get off from the food, we need to take it away from it. I'm gonna write that down as well. So we're gonna do 1350, take away 450, and that will give me £9. That will give you your second mark because I'm writing everything down. Then what do? I have to pay £2.40, which I don't get the 1/3 off from that drink. So we need to add £2.40 to £9. And we get £11.40. Okay. Again, 1 more mark, so that's 3 marks by the time we get to that place. Okay, then we need to add 10% service charge to 1140, and if we do that successfully, we get full marks here. Okay, so 10% is 0.1. If you change 10% into decimal, but again, that's going to be added onto this, which is 100%. So we're adding 0.1 to 100%. So 100% is actually 1, whole 1. Okay, so we're adding 0.1 to 1. 0.1 to 1 will get 1.1. So if I multiply that by 1.1, okay, what would you get? And that's what your answer is going to be. So if you use 1.1 here, multiply by it, you get that 4th mark. And the 5th mark comes from writing down the answer, which would be 11.4 times 1.1. Okay, so £12.54. Okay, that's what you get for your 5th mark. Okay, so there are quite a lot of things, and I would write down every single calculation that I'll go through. Okay, and do not think that you're doing it in your head and the examiner will know. No, they have given a guideline basically. If you see 1/3 times 1350, allocate 1 mark. If you see £4.50 or one of those two things, allocate 1 mark. If you see 1350, take away their £4.50, allocate 1 mark. So even if you made mistakes here, you still get 1 mark for doing 1350, take away 550. Let's say if you made 550 then. Okay, so write down every single things you go through. You have 1 hour 30 minutes to do this paper. Okay, so write that down. 5 marks, not going to come from writing just £12.54. Okay, that's the accuracy. You get 1 mark for showing how accurate you are. All right, question 5A. 2 tubs of ice cream cost £5.90. So you're going to put 2 tubs will cost you £5.90. How much 5 tub will cost? So we're going to work out the unitary method. So work out the cost of 1 tub. So obviously if your 2 tubs cost you £5.90, 1 tub will cost you half of that. So I'm dividing the left hand side by 2 to get to 1 tub. So I have to divide the right hand side by 2 as well. So 1 tub would be £2 and is it 95 pence? Yeah. Again, you have calculator, you can do that. You don't have to guess it like me. You can do that very quickly. And then multiply that by 5. So go from 1 tub to 5 tubs. And multiply this side by 5 and you get to your answer. Okay. So if I multiply that by 5, I go 5 times 3, that's 15. So we should get £14, and 5 times 5 is 25. So £14.75. Okay. 5 tubs should cost you £14.75. A factory makes 8,000 tubs of ice cream. Each tub contains 500 milliliters. Okay. So one of the things you need to do is know how many milliliters are there in 1 liter. Okay, because you want to work out how many liters of ice cream does that factory produces. Okay, so what's first thing we're going to write that down? 1 liter is equal to 1000 milliliter. Again, how do we know that? If you drink any of the soft drinks, okay, they do have these things. Milliliter, okay, 250 milliliters. So that's 250 milliliters, small can, okay. Small can, 250 milliliter. Can of Coke will have 330 milliliter, okay. All of those. So obviously 1 liter bottle is slightly bigger, okay. I don't have any 1 liter bottle here, but 1 liter bottle is slightly bigger. Okay, this is 750 milliliters, so it's slightly bigger than that. So that's 1 liter will have 1000 milliliter. That's one of the way you can actually work out how many milliliter there are in 1 liter. Okay, so once you know there are 1000 milliliter in 1 liter, write that down. You possibly get 1 mark for that as well. Okay, so we need 2 tubs to make 1 liter. Okay, 2 tubs will make 1 liter, and if you produce 8,000 tubs, then you need to divide 8,000 tubs by 2 to get 4,000 liter of ice cream. Okay, 240 people go to a rugby match, 183 people support home team, so that's already been filled in for you, and we can work out away team. So you do 240 take away 183. So 240 take away 183. Again, it's a calculator paper, so you can do that very quickly. So we get 57. Okay, that's away team support. 1 mark. And then we already know how many adult supports away team. Okay, so 45 adults. So we do take away 45 from 57. We get 12 children for the away support. And then we also know how many adults supports altogether. Okay, so there are 162 adults out of 64. Sorry. 240. So we can take away that from 45, taking away from 162. We can work out how many adult supports. So this is a really important part of the next 2 marks, or next 1 mark, next 2 marks. So you get 1 mark from here and 1 mark there. So we're saying, okay, 162 adults. So we already go 42, 45 away adults. Okay, so how many adults are there for the home? So we're doing 162 take away 45, and now we'll give you your home adults, which is 117, 117. So once you get that 117, you can work out how many children are there for that part. So those children should be 66. Because we're doing 185, 183 take away 117. So when you add those 4 numbers up, they should add up to 240 altogether. So there's again 3 mark question. Question 7. House is being built and it uses 8,400 bricks. Okay. And 3 bricklayer each. It's important because there are 3 bricklayers and each lays 350, not one, all of them together. Every bricklayer lays 350 bricks per day and they get paid £175 per day. And how much in total will they be paid? Again, there are quite a few things that we have to assume that they all 3 comes together and work, okay, and they're all getting paid £1 175 without a fail. But that's given to us, but we don't know whether you can call 1 or 2 if you have some times left over. Okay, so first we're going to look at how many 350 goes into 8,400. So how many days of work do we need from one person if only one person was building that? Okay, we can work out that way. So one of the way you can do that is that 8,400 divide by 350. Again, put that in the calculator. That gives you the answer very quickly. So we need 24 days of work from one person. If 3 people are coming, okay, then we can divide that by 3. So saying we need 8 days of work from them. So they should be able to complete the entire house if 3 people are working in 8 days. If one person working, they should be able to complete in 24 days. Okay, so that's what we get, 24. And every person will get paid 175. So I can actually get to the answer very quickly. I'm doing that 24 multiplied by 175. And that will get me to the answer really quickly. So 24 times 175 will give you 4,200. Okay. Work out the remainder when you do 8,529 divided by 42. So first thing I do, if it's 3 mark question, I would write it down. 8,529 divide by 42 and put it in the calculator. What would I get in the calculator? Okay, so again, this time I have to do that. Saying okay, 8,529. What I get is 203 point something. 07142. Okay, and that will go on. You possibly get 1 mark for that. Then what we need to do, okay, saying, okay, now you don't get a whole number, but we know 42 will go into 8,529 exactly 203 times, and then you will have something left over. So another thing you can do is you can do 203 times 42 to work out how many times we get 42. If you do 203 times 42 into that, how far do we get up to? Okay, and we will get to 8,526. So what do you think the remainder is going to be? 8,529 take away 8,526. So remainder is 3. That's one way of doing it. Again, there is more way of doing these. Okay. So I could have done is could have taken away 203 from that. Okay, so I'm going to take away 203 from this. So rubbish. And you will left with 0.07142, whatever that. And I'm keeping that answer in the calculator. Okay, so I'm keeping that answer in the calculator. And then what we're doing is multiplying that by 42, and it will give you 3. Okay, so multiply that by 42. So how much of the 42 is left over? When you work out, the answer is going to be 3. So there's 2 different ways you can do that. Okay, Zoe's password is made up of 4-digit number. She remembers it as a 2-digit number and a 2-digit number. So rather than remembering a 4-digit number, she remembers it as a 2 digits 1 number and another 2-digit number. Okay, the first 2 digits of a number is prime number between 10 and 20. So we can just work out what are the prime numbers between 10 and 20. So we have 11, we have 13, we have 17 and 19. So those are the only 4 numbers between 10 and 20 that's prime number. So it could have been any one of those. So one thing we know for sure, your first digits of that password is going to be 1. Okay, and the second 2-digit number is the prime number between 20 and 30. So we list the prime numbers between 20 and 30 for the second part. Okay, so we got 23. Remember, 21 is not a prime number. Why? Because 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, and then you got 27, is also not a prime number. 9 times 3 is 27. So we only got two numbers that's prime, 23 and 29. Okay. So list her 8 possible passwords. So that's really straightforward. We're going to pair up each one of these. So 11 with 23 and 29, then 13 with 23 and 29, then 17 with 23 and 29, and 19 with 23 and 29. So those are the 8 possible passwords. Or you can say, okay, we're going to pair up 23 with these 4, and then 29 with these 4. So your password is going to be 1123. So 1123 or 1129. Okay, so we're going to do those pairs. The password could be 1323 or 1329. Or your password is going to be 1723 or 1729. Or it could have been 1923 or 1929. So those are the 8 pairs of passwords that she could have had. Work out the highest common factor of 12 and 20. The common mistake people make is go to multiples when they have to work out the factors, and they go to factors when they have to work out the multiples. So here we're looking for the factors, the things that go into it, what makes up the factors that makes up the number 12. Okay, so we're going to write down 12 and work out all the possible factors of 12. So what two numbers multiply together that makes up the 12. Okay, so we got to look at it starting from 1 and 12. 1 in itself is always the factors of those numbers. Okay, 1 and 12. So next we're going to try with 2. Would 2 go into 12? Yes. 2 and 6. Then we try with 3. 3 goes into 12? Yes. 3 and 4. Then we try it with 4. But wait a second, we already got 4 in there. Okay, so we know we completed the whole loop. We already included 4 in there. 5 cannot be a factor. Why? Because 5 times something between 2 and 3 will make up 12. So 5 times some decimal number. So we know this is a whole number. These are the only numbers that will go into 12. Do the same thing for 20. 1 and 20. And 2 and 10. 3 doesn't go into it. 4 and 5. 5, which is already there. So these are the factors of 20. Now we're looking for highest number that's common from the factors. Okay, so highest number that's common from the factors. So we start from the highest number. 12, no. 6, no. 4, yes. So 4 is the highest common factor between both of those. Okay, so answer to this is 4. Work out the lowest common multiple. Now we're looking for the multiples. Okay, and the multiples does mean more than once. Okay, so multiple of something here. Let's see something that's multiple I have here. Okay, I can. Well, these cubes, multi-link cubes. So 1 cube, 2 cube, 3 cube, 4 cube, 5 cubes. I've got multiple cubes here in my hand. Okay, and if I tell you one of the cube is 6, worth 6. If I sell this, it'll get me £6. So if I have 2 cubes, what would it give me? If I have more than 1 cube, multiple cubes, then it will give me multiple of 6s in a way. Okay, multiple of £6. So multiple of 6s are 6, 12. 2 lots of 6s, you get 12 multiple 6s. 3 lots of 6s gives you 18. 4 lots of 6s gives you 24 and 30 and so on. Okay, you can keep on going. Those are multiples of 6. 6 times table. Then if I have multiple of 8, again each cube values is 8. So if you have 2 8s, that will be 16. If you have 3 8s, that's 3 8 there, that would be 24. And so on. So now we're looking for the lowest number that's common in these two multiples. These are your multiple of 6s. These are your multiple of 8. Lowest number that's common in both of these, okay, are 24. Okay, so they are common. You can keep on going and you would get 48 in both times table. But that's not the lowest number. The lowest number that's common in both of them is 24. So the lowest common multiple is 24. Even though it's the word using the lowest, that 24 is way bigger than 8 and 6, and that's the reason people do get confused in these questions. Okay, some information on the yogurt pot. So you got the total content is 450 grams, sugar is 57.15 grams. Okay. So Harry tries to work out the amount of sugar in 100 grams of the yogurt, and his first answer is 61.65. There has to be something wrong. In the whole container, whole pot, which weighs 450 grams, which is 4.5 times more than the 100 grams. How can you have more sugar in 100 grams than the actual pot? Okay, so that's clearly something wrong, and that's what you have to say to actually get marked. Why must this be wrong? So you cannot have more sugar in 100 grams that weighs 4.5 times less than the whole pot. Okay, but generally work out the actual answer, and it will be a lot easier to work with it, kind of things. And that's the first mark. That's what you have to say. Writing things down is not my thing either. Okay, so I would generally work out the actual answer to get that 1 mark. And that's the calculation that he tried. Okay, what error has he made? And again, you don't have to describe it in words. Write down what error did he make. Okay, so we're going to start writing this information down. So both of these answers are linked, so we're going to work it out exactly. Okay, so 450 grams has 57.15. 450 grams has 57.15. Okay, so now we're going to go from 450 to 100 grams. How do I go from 450 to 100? Divide by 4.5. Again, you have calculator with you. You do 450 divided by 100. That will give you 4.5. So if I divide 4.5 this side, I need to divide the right hand side by 4.5 as well. And when I divide right hand side by 4.5, what would I get? So I have 57.15 divided by 4.5. I get 12.7 grams. Okay, so that's what went wrong. So rather than dividing 450 by 4.5, okay, they divided it by 57.15. Okay. Or if you wanted to, the mistake that could be here, if you wanted to do it slightly differently, I would go from 450 to 1 gram. So I divide it by 450 and then multiply it by 100 to get 100 grams. So you do the same thing to the 57.15 as well. Divide 57.15 by 450 and then multiply by 100. Right, so question 12 here. Got Anna has to describe a cuboid. She must not use the word cuboid, okay? And she says the shape has 6 faces, which is correct. A cuboid would have 6 faces, okay? We can look at it as this is a cuboid. Okay, that's not great idea. Let's look at this one. You can look at it. There's a 1 face, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the back would be 6. So that's cuboid has 6 faces. Okay, that's correct. Now all 4 faces are square. If you have all the faces are square, then that's a cube. Okay, you can see it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of those faces are squares. Then it's a cube. If you want to say it's a cuboid, then all the faces can't be square. That's a rectangle, 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 rectangle. Okay, and then you get 2 square. That's fine. So you can't have all the faces to be square. It has 10 vertices. Vertices mean the corner. Okay, so corner here, there, that's the vertice. That top corner there. Corner there, that's vertice. So you have 4 corners here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the cuboid would have 8 vertices. Okay. So it doesn't have to be all square. If it's all square, then it's a cube. And it has 8 vertices. 8 corners. Okay. And now those are the 2 mistakes that she made. Okay, and you get 1 mark. If you have all faces are square, then it's a cube. We have year 9 school runs a trip to cinema and trip to bowling. Not necessarily on the same day, they go on the different days, okay? So then these are the people that goes on the different trips, okay? So we've been given the Venn diagram here, we need to complete it to work out how many students are there in year 9, okay? And that's what our question is, okay? So we can start reading through the information. One of the information is, if we can work out what this is going to be, so let's say these are the people that goes on to bowling trip, and these are the people who goes on to the cinema trip, okay? So we have 52 students going on to both cinema and bowling. So those 52 students would be a part of both circles, okay? It's going to be part of this circle here, and they're going to be part of this circle here in C as well. So we got 52. So this is the area that's part of the both circle. If I ignore the C and look at the B, then 52 is part of the B. If you ignore the B, 52 is part of the C as well. Okay, so 52 comes in both circles. Now what we got another part information here, not go on either trip. Okay, that's 47 students. So 47 students are not part of the circle B or circle C. So they didn't go to bowling trip or cinema trip. Okay. So those 47 will go here. Now what we need to do is work out how many students that just went to the bowling trip and how many students that just went to the cinema trip, okay? We've been given the figures here, 125 go to cinema. So that 125 go to cinema doesn't mean they will not go to bowling trip either, okay? So what we need to do is we already have 52 students going to cinema that went on to the bowling trip as well. So we're doing 125, take away that 52 to work out people who just went to the cinema, okay? So 125 take away 52, okay? What would you get? 125 take away 52. So if I do 125 take away 50, that gives me 75, and take away another 2, which gives me 73. So those are the people who went to cinema, just the cinema. So if you look at the people in the circle, that's all of those people in that red circle should be 125. When you add them all up, that should add up to 125. Same thing here. We have 120 students going to bowling. Okay, so if we do the same thing, work out how many students that went to just bowling. Okay, so if you look at it, there has to be 5 students less than that, so we get 67. So 67 students just went to bowling, because you're doing again same thing, 120 take away that 52. Okay, so we have those 67 students going to just bowling. So now if you look at it, we included all the categories. People who went to the bowling but didn't go cinema, people who went to the cinema but didn't go bowling, people who did both, and people who didn't go cinema. So we included every single category. So if I add all these 4 numbers, that will tell me how many students are there in year 9 group. Okay, so add them all up, we got 240 students that when they are in year 9 group. Add them all up and it will add up to 240 students. Question 14. Okay. A solid shape is made with a cube. So that's a cube 4 centimeter by 4 centimeter. And that length there would be 4 as well. Okay, so that's why it's a cube. And it got the cylinder that surrounds things at the top. So front elevation, I mean, what does it look like from the front? So from the front, I'll be able to see this 4 by 4 square, because I won't be able to see how depth of that. I can have that 8 meter long behind me. I could have something behind me on my back basically, but you won't be able to see that, because you won't be able to see any light reflecting on it either. Okay, all you see is my face, that shape that you outline here. Okay, that's all you can see there. So same thing, all you see is that square here from the front. Okay, that's 4 centimeter by 4 centimeter. And on top, you see this cylinder has a diameter 4. So you see that cylinder that has a height 2 centimeters. So you'll see that height 2 centimeter on either. And then that length there, that's 4 centimeter. You won't be able to see that curving, okay? Because there isn't anything light that reflect on it. So you should be able to see that curves, okay? So this is what you see from the front. That's a cube, and that's a cylinder there. That's it, that's what you see. So if I have to draw it on the centimeter by centimeter grid, okay, I'll use that centimeter by centimeter. So I'm going 4 centimeter across and 4 centimeter up. So that's my cube done. And then for cylinder, I'm going 2 centimeter in height, 2 centimeter in height, and then that's 4 centimeters. So that's my cylinder there, and that's my cube. Okay, and that's the front elevation. This is what it would look like from the front. Same thing, we need to look at the same, now slightly different picture. You see this? So imagine this thing again. Imagine this thing sitting on this cuboid. Okay. So this cylinder there on a cuboid. So from far away, all you see, you won't be able to see how far that curves. You see the width of it and you see the height of it. So from far away, you see that can as just a rectangle, same as that. Okay. And there's a cuboid. All you see from far away is this rectangle here. Okay. So that's all you'll be able to see. A rectangle that's 4 centimeter, the height by 2 centimeter. And that rectangle, whatever that's the length and the height's given here. That's what you'll be able to see. Okay, from the far away. So that's what we're going to do. Front elevation again. That one here. That's your front elevation. And what does it look like from the side? So from the side, if I look at it, this is what it would look like from the side. Can you see that? So from the side, you see a rectangle and the circle on top of that. That's what it would look like from that side. So that's what we need to be able to draw. So side elevation is what looks like from side. Front elevation is what it would look like from the front. Okay. So let's do the front. The width is 2 centimeters. It's the same cylinder, part of the same question. Okay, we got 14A. Now it's 14B. So again, I will have a square, 4 by 4 square, and then because you're putting it sideways, our length height is 2 centimeter in the middle, height is 4 centimeter. So that's what it would look like. You won't be able to see the curve. You can't even draw these curves. Okay, so that's what it looks like. This is our cylinder, and that's your cube. And what does it look like from the side? So from the side, you still see that because it's a cube, that square at the bottom. But here you should see that circle, because from the side, this should be round. You can see that from the side here, it should be round. So I'll see that circle with the diameter 4 centimeter. So these are the 4 points, like the circle should be going around. Again, I'm not brilliant at it, so I'm going to have to need some guide to draw this circle as good as possible. Okay, so that's what it looks like from the side. If you turn it around, that's what it looks like. Look, both got the same height. Okay, so that's again 1 mark each, but you need to know what the front elevation, side elevation is. And if you put that from the top plan, you don't see anything other than that square basically. You see that's a square from the top, which is called plan. So from the top you see that square, and probably see some images, basically this rectangle that going along lines for that cylinder on the top basically. So that's your cylinder and that's your cuboid. Okay, from the top, that's the plan. What bird's eye view is the plan. What does it look like from the top? Okay, and that's what it would look like from the top. That's not part of the question, but just in case if that comes up. A formula 5S equal to 5t squared. Okay, S is the distance and the t is the time it takes in seconds. Okay, remember. So the ball's dropped. It takes 1.2 seconds to go on the floor. So how long does it take? What's the distance? Sorry, it takes 4.2 seconds. So S is the distance. And we're putting in that formula, which comes from 5 times 1.2 squared. Because it's 5 times t squared and time is 1.2 seconds. Put that in the calculator. What do we get? 1.2 squared multiplied by 5. So I get S to be 7.2 meter. Different ball drops from 2 meter height. So we already know the distance, that's 2. So instead of S, we're going to use 2. And now we need to work out what's the height, how long does it take before it hits the floor. So we need to work out what t is. Okay. So what we're going to do is we divide both sides by 5 because we need to rearrange it for the t. So divide both sides by 5, we get, now 5 divided by 5 gives you 1, so you're left with just t squared. And on the other side you get 2/5. So you can write it again if you want to. T squared is equal to 2/5, which in fact is 0.4. Okay. You can put it in the calculator but leave it as t squared. And then to work out t, I need to get rid of the square. How do I get rid of the square? Square root both sides. Okay, so now you're left with t, and your answer is going to be plus and minus square root of 2/5. And that would give you your time. Put it in the calculator and you will get your time. Okay. Now we're only using the positive answer. Why? Because t cannot be negative, remember. Okay, t cannot possibly be negative number. Why? Because it's a time. You can't go and saying I took minus 1 second to complete this, or I took minus 1 hour to complete this. No, t cannot be negative in this scenario. Okay, so we're going to be using the positive answer, which is 0.63. So it will travel 2 meter in 0.63 of the second. Alright, so we got two right angle triangles and triangle ABC. So ABC, okay, which is that one, and the triangle PQR, which is that one there. And they are similar. Similar means they have the same angles, but the lengths are enlarged. Okay, so here you can see the scale factor as well. How many times this triangle is bigger? So it's 3 goes to 6. So we can work it out saying this triangle is 2 times bigger. Okay. So when you go from 3 to 6. So every single length on that triangle going to be 2 times bigger compared to this triangle. That's what the word similar means. Every single length. So let's make this length 2 times bigger as well. So that's 4. We multiply it by 2 and we get 8 centimeters. Now the question here, work out the area of this triangle. How do we work out the area of a triangle? Area of the triangle comes from half times base times height. Okay. So when you multiply base by the height, that gives you the area of a rectangle, something like that. But we only want the half of that, and that's why that half comes in. Okay. So if I work out the area of this triangle, first you do 3 times 4. When you do 3 times 4, that gives you area of this rectangle. But I only want the triangle, that's why we half it. Okay, and that's what you needed to do. So here we got base to be 6, so half times 6, and the height is 8 centimeters. So we're doing half times 6 times 8. Okay. And whatever the answer you get, you put it in. So half of 6 is 3, 3 times 8 is 24. So we get area is 24. 24 what? 24 small square inside it. And what are those squares? They are centimeter by centimeter squares. So we get the answer centimeters square. 24 centimeters squared. So these are going to be these small squares inside this triangle. In fact, PR is longer than it would be in the triangle were similar. If the triangle were similar. So PR meant to be slightly longer length. So if the length is longer, then the area would be bigger than what you've got in part A. And that's one way. Okay, if the length is smaller, the area would be less. The speed distance graph has been given to you here. Okay, if you can't see it properly, make sure you have your paper with you or try to find it. So that's the line here. It starts from 0, goes to 4 times second, time is 4 seconds, and the distance is 3 seconds here. Okay, and then it goes from 4 seconds to 7 seconds. Distance still 3 seconds, and then it finishes at 10 meter in 12 seconds. For how long is the toy car stationary? Stationary means it's not moving, okay? So if I'm moving this hand, and if I say, well, keep your hand stationary, I'm holding it at the same place. Now it's gone 4 seconds gone by, my hand's not moved from there, okay? Or that pen's not moved from there. That means it's a stationary. So 4 to 7 seconds, there's a 3 seconds has gone by. Okay, 3 seconds has gone by, and the car was 3 meters away from the starting point. So the distance didn't go up at all. So the car was stationary for 3 seconds. Work out the average speed of the last 5 seconds of the car journey. Okay, so we need to work out the average speed of the last 5 seconds. So we're looking at there. That was 5 seconds. How long did it take? So 5 seconds. And in that 5 seconds, how far did we travel? We went from 3 to 10. So we traveled 10 meters. We traveled, sorry, not 10 meters. That's my mistake, actually. We traveled 7 meters. We went from 3 meters away to 10 meters away. We traveled 7 meters in 5 seconds. Okay, so we can work it out very quickly and easily, saying, okay, the distance, the average speed going to be distance divided by time. And you allowed to use calculator. Put it in the calculator. We're doing 7 divided by 5, because the 7 meters is the distance traveled in 5 seconds. Okay, 7 meters in 5 seconds. Put it in the calculator, you will get 1.4 meter in a second. Okay, 1.4 meter per second. So you're traveling 1.4 meter in 1 second to get there 7 meter in 5 seconds. Work out the answer to this and give your answer in standard form. Okay, so you can change that or put it straight into the calculator and you get that. That's too much for using calculator. Okay, you put that in the calculator exactly how it looks here. Use the brackets and you will get the answer straight away. Or you can use the method that if you have to do that without a calculator, how would you do it? So I would write that down saying 7.68 So 7.68 multiplied by 10 to the power 9. And divide by, so instead of writing division sign, we can use a fraction line. Okay, so divide by 3.2 multiplied by 10 to the power 4. Now when you're using fraction, I can do the same thing to the top number and the bottom number. Then its value of that fraction doesn't change. Okay, so I can divide top number by 10 to the power 4. That means if I'm dividing this 10 to the power 9 by 10 4 times. So you're left with 10 to the power 5 at the top. And you're left with 1 at the bottom, because 10 to the power 4 divided by 10 to the power 4 gives you 1. And I can do the same thing. I can divide top and bottom by 3.2. So if I divide that by 3.2, you get 1. Divide 7.68 by 3.2. 7.68 divided by 3.2 gives me 2.4. Okay. So what you get at the top is 2.4 multiplied by 10 to the power 5. And at the bottom you get 1 times 1, which is just 1, and everything is divided by 1. So all I did is divided the number and divided the power. Okay, and we get 2.4 times 10 to the power 5. But even if you didn't have that, put that in a calculator, most likely you get that in the standard form. Four possible outcomes. So there are 4 outcomes. Nothing can happen other than A, B, C or D. Those are the absolute 4 outcomes. Okay. So probability of getting A, outcome A, is 0.16. Probability of B, so getting B, is 3 times the 0.16. Okay. So that would be 0.48. You can put it in the calculator. Again, write it down. Please write it down. Okay. Just some constructed, like restricted by the shape that's given to me here, so you can all see the board behind me bright and clear. So I'm gonna do 0.16 multiply by 3, and that gives me that 0.48. Okay, because you would get marks for doing these things. Write it down. Anything you know or do, write it down. You got enough space to work with it. Now probability of C and D would be exactly the same. So we got 4 different outcomes. Probability of A plus probability of B plus probability of C plus the probability of D. What would it be? Okay, for example, if you flip a coin, you get 2 outcomes, head and tail. What's the probability of head? We say half. What's the probability of tail? We say half. When you add them together, it should add up to 1. 2 halves. 2 halves is 1. What's the probability of getting 1 when you roll a dice? We looked at it earlier, first question on this paper. It's 1/6. So probability of getting all the numbers are 1/6. So we got 6 lots of 1/6. That gives you 1. So probability of all the possible outcome should always add up to 1. So we already know what some of those are. Okay, so we know this is 0.76. This is 0.48. Plus we don't know what that is, but that's exactly the same as what's the probability of D is. Okay, so whatever the answer we get left over from 0.16 and 0.48, those needs to be split between these two to get to 1. So we can do is 1, take away these. That gives me 0.36. Now these two should add up to 0.36, and we learned that fact they both equal. So that has to be 0.36 divided by 2. So we know we should be getting 0.18 for both of those. The question here is work out probability of D. So we needed this link. Probability of D is 0.18. Question 20. This was a question that came up in both paper, foundation and height. Okay, so using algebra, show that the rectangle and the T-shape has the same area. How do we work out the area? We multiply one of the length with the other length. Okay, so here we're multiplying 7 by x plus 1. Okay, you can multiply out and get it sorted. Okay, you would get 1 mark. Write these things down. So 7 times x gives you 7x. 7 times 1 gives you 7. So area of this rectangle is 7x plus 7. Work out the area of this one here. So multiplying 2 by 2x plus 5. Again, simplify it, write it down. 2 times 2x is 4x. And 2 times 5x, 2 times 5 is 10. So this rectangle here is 4x plus 10. Now work out the area of this rectangle. Height is 3. So you're doing 3 times x minus 1. Work out what that would be. 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. Okay. So this is what we got. Now we compare these. First compare the x's. Okay. Or if you want to, just write it down. Let's just skip it and write it down. Okay. So we're saying 7x plus 7 has to be these two put together. 4x plus 10 plus 3x minus 3. So we can add the x's together, just focusing on the right hand side. Add the x's together, that gives you 7x. And then add the numbers together. So remember, this is what numbers are basically. And the sign in front of it is with those number or letters. So that's a positive 10. Add negative 3 gives you positive 7. So you get 7x plus 7 from the right hand side. So we just shown the area of the left hand side, which is 7x plus 7. So is the right hand side. Okay, so area of that T is 7x plus 7 as well. That gets you those 4 marks.
Right. Okay. So for this question, what we're looking at is saying, okay, we need to place the wind turbine in a way so it needs to be closer to y, closer to this point here, than the x. But it also needs to be within the 12-kilometer radius from x. Okay. So within the 12 kilometer, it could be here, but it has to be within the 12-kilometer distance. Okay. So what we need to do, we need to label the region where can we actually place the wind turbine on here. Okay, so needs to be closer to y than x, but within the 12-kilometer radius. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to mark the 12-kilometer radius from x. Now we know that 1 centimeter represents 2 kilometers. So we're going to use a ruler and open our compass. So it's 6 centimeter wide. Okay. So we're going to open our compass. So it's 6 centimeter wide. So that's from 0 all the way to 6 there. And then you place it on the X and draw an arc. So we know our wind turbine has to be within this. Oopsie. Our wind turbine has to be within this circle. Okay. So I've done 6 centimeter arc from the X. So it has to be within this line. But now again, it needs to be closer to closer to y than x. So it needs to be on this side here. But how do we decide where that? I can't just draw randomly line here. This point here or this point here not going to be closer to y compared to this one. This one is closer to x than y. So I need to make sure that I draw the perpendicular bisector. Means I need to cut this x and y exactly in the half. Okay, so we can know where exactly both x and y are going to be exactly the same distance away on which line. To do that, I can look at it, the distance from x to y, and open your compass so it's more than halfway line. Okay, so similar to the last paper, more than halfway line. That is more than halfway line. So I'm going to draw the arc above the those two things and arc below those two things. And I kept it exactly the same as 6 centimeter anyway. So you can get that crossing point there and the crossing point at the top. Sorry. There. So now where those two crossing points are, they are exactly same distance away from x and y, which is in this case 6 centimeter. We didn't have to keep it 6 centimeter, but it would just makes it easier for us to draw that. And then all we have to do is place your ruler on those two crossing points and join them up. So now that's the line going to be exactly any points on those two that line here is going to be exactly same distance from x and same distance from y. So if our points needs to be closer to y, our points needs to be, or the turbine needs to be closer to y than x, but it has to be within the 12-kilometer radius. So that is our 12-kilometer radius. So it has to be within that, and it needs to be towards x. So you're saying shade the region and label it R. Okay, so we're gonna shade that region here. So it's gonna be, you can place this wind turbine anywhere on this. And that is your region R. So as long as you place the turbine on this part here, the shaded part is going to be close to y, then x, and is going to be within the 12-kilometer radius. So this radius here is 12 kilometer. And that's 4 max.
Okay, so 4x plus y will give you 185. And then you got the 6-hour job, so 6 times the hourly rate, so 6 times whatever the work you did, plus the fixed rate, you have to pay 265. So it's a simultaneous equation, okay? We're solving two simultaneous equations, which can be done without this, okay? We can do that without it, okay? But just look at it with the equation. So you take away one from the other, you get rid of the y. So 6x plus y, take away 4x plus y, gives you 2x. and y disappears. 265 take away 185. That will give you, and then that means the 2x is 80, so x is equal to 40. Divide both sides by 2. So hourly rate is 40. X is hourly rate, so hourly rate is 40. So if we want to work out what the fixed rate is, we're doing 4 times 40, which gives you 160. 160 plus y gives you 185. So 160 plus what gives you 125? That gives you that fixed rate, which is 25. So that's one way of looking at it. You could have done it without you introducing x and y's. Okay. So in 4 hours, 4-hour job will cost you 185 pounds, and then the 6-hour job will cost you 265. So that means the 2 hour, okay, that extra they work on, they had to get 80 pounds for that 2 hour. This is without fixed rate. So if you call someone saying, okay, you worked extra 2 hours, in that extra 2 hours they had to pay them 80 pounds. So for 1 hour it would be 40 pounds. Okay, and once you've done that, 1 hour is 40 pounds. We're doing the same thing again. 4 lots of 40, that gives you 160. Plus we need an extra 25 pounds to get that 185. So that's a fixed rate, and that's your hourly rate. Okay, but as long as you show every single thing that you do, you would get marks. You don't have to use x and y's. Okay, and that's about it for this paper. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, give it a like. That will help me out, and share it with your friends if you think they probably find this paper useful. Okay,